guys, welcome back to the HUBient channel. This is Stella Bella. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this week has gone super fast and there are so many things on my to-do list that are still undone from the beginning of the year. And I feel like we all kind of start off our year wanting a clean slate and things just pile up so quickly and our to-do list gets filled up fast and our clean desks end up getting super messy, super quick. So this week, I wanted to talk about the 5 ways that I use to declutter my life, declutter my space so that I can improve productivity and focus on the things that really matter. So as per usual, I'm going to jump right in so we don't waste any time. Number 1, living a minimal lifestyle. So minimalism isn't about getting rid of everything you own, and it's not about depriving yourself of all of the things that you love and want. Minimalism is more about being selective in the things you choose to bring into your life. A lot of us equate success to a lot of material things. All of the material things that are in our lives, we think the more we have of that, the more successful we are, or the happier that we'll be. And I'm sure most of you will know, those who do tend to focus on the materialistic things, that joy, the satisfaction, the happiness that you may bring is only short-lived. It's only momentary, right? Because once you've acquired it, that's it. The joy, the excitement is gone. And because that's what you're focused on, you then search for the next material thing to buy. So chances are your house, your space is cluttered with a lot of things that you've bought, a lot of material things that you've gathered, that you told yourself that if you had this, you'll be so happy. But you've probably realized that having it really didn't change anything. And because happiness is what you're going for, that's the void you're trying to fill, you then buy more things and more things to try to fill that void. Now, obviously the key here isn't the things that we're trying to buy. It's something else. Whatever is creating that void, that's where you should start with. Because obviously filling and cluttering up your space is not the answer, and it's not really fixing the problem. In terms of decluttering your life, living minimally is the perfect way to do it. And if you're not someone who's used to that idea, you can always start slowly. So it's not about selling everything or throwing everything out, but have a look at everything that you own. How much of that do you actually use? How much of that do you actually need or even want anymore? Is it just taking up space in your life, in your wardrobe, in your house, in your shed, in your garage? You know, if you actually have to push things out of your life so that you don't see it anymore, chances are you don't really need it. You don't really need it in your life at all. But maybe there's sentimental value, or maybe you just can't be bothered getting rid of it, right? But at the end of the day, everything that you have in your life, it takes up time. Not only time to procure it, to find it, to buy it, to acquire it and have it in your life in the first place. But once it's in your life, you have to find space for it. Maybe some things are more high maintenance than others. For example, expensive cars or expensive jewelry. You have to look after it and worry about things like that. When you wear it out, you have to make sure it doesn't get dirty or it doesn't get stolen. Now, the easiest way to identify those objects is looking around at all the things that you own, looking around at all of your acquisitions and what are the things that actually bring you happiness when you look at it. So living minimally, definitely something that you should look at if you feel like you're not productive, if you feel like your house or your mental space even is quite cluttered. Try looking at ways of cutting down on the things in your environment. So understand that living minimally, it does not mean living poorly or depriving yourself. It simply means to be more selective about the precious time, about the precious space that you have, and be more selective of what you're putting into that space so that you don't waste time, energy on the things that don't matter and don't actually bring you any success or joy. Number 2, of course, is to declutter your physical space. Now, it's generally a good way to judge how cluttered your mind is based on how cluttered your space is. And you often notice that if your house or your room or your desk is cluttered and messy, not only is it hard to find things in general anyway, but your mind also feels a little bit messier, doesn't it? Like you find it harder to concentrate, to focus on one thing, to even decide on what to do because you look at your workspace and it looks like there is so much to do because everything is everywhere. One of the main things that you need to do to be more productive and be more focused is to put everything in its right place. There is always a home for the things that you own. And it's not on top of each other, but it's in drawers, it's filed away, it's put somewhere where you can find it again without spending minutes or even hours trying to look for it, right? If you're one of those people who always loses their keys or always late to events because you can't find something and you feel just generally frazzled and confused and frustrated, have a look at your environment and ask yourself, is it as optimal as you could have it? Maybe you've got a lot of things cluttered all in the one place. My recommendation is buying a few containers from IKEA, from Target, Kmart, super cheap containers where you can pretty much dump everything into those containers. Maybe have one container that says to do, one container to file, one container for personal things, container for other general things that aren't important, knickknacks, ornaments, random things that you've just acquired throughout your day, and start going through your things and placing things very quickly into those containers. Because the fact of the matter is, right now, everything is all together, cluttered in your space anyway, and you can't find anything. So even if you don't perfectly put everything in its right place, just having containers and just throwing things in there will at least sort it out preliminarily for you and your mind first. Then when you have a little bit more time, you can go through it in more detail. And at the very least, if you know you're trying to find something really important, you can look in the urgent box or the to-do box, because at least, even though there's a whole pile in there, you know this pile is the important stuff. At least that will cut out a little bit of your time sorting through things or trying to find things when you need it the most at the last minute. Number 3 is decluttering your virtual space. So we're talking about phone apps, desktops, browser tabs, all the things that live in the virtual world that is supposed to serve us and make us more productive, more focused, but it actually does the opposite. So have a look at your phone. If you're one of those people that have a million apps downloaded, but you don't even use them, delete them. If you think that you might need those apps again, then write down the names of them in a separate note-taking app. Not to mention, having so many apps on your phone is a little bit risky for security, because if those apps are no longer updated, no longer functioning, because the developer's just given up on them, then you have these dormant apps sitting on your phone that if a hacker gets into, and they get into that app, get into your phone, that compromises your security as well. So if there are apps that you don't use currently or you don't use frequently enough, just delete them. You can always download them again later. Let's talk about your desktop. If you're the sort of person that takes a million screenshots that just live on your desktop, or you just download a bunch of things that live on your desktop, and just anything that you save just appears on your desktop, on your computer. Every time you open up and you just see a whole bunch of little squares and icons cluttering up and even piling on top of each other, you need to start deleting and sorting them out. If they are important, put it away in a folder. Pretty much as soon as you download something or you save a screenshot of some kind, you should be putting them into a folder anyway. Make it a habit that every single day, maybe last 10 or 15 minutes of your day is spent decluttering your desktop, putting things in the right folders, putting them into the trash can if it no longer serves a purpose, and filing them away virtually. Having 10 different folders for very specific things that you can file your screenshots and downloads away to at the end of the day is so much better than having all of those individual files cluttering up. Things like your internet browser, if you have a lot of tabs open, there are apps that can actually help you organize that. Like for example, bookmarking. Bookmarking is not even an app, it's something that every single browser has. And if you find that you always need the same windows, same websites open for work or whatever, just bookmark it. And you can even have different folders for your bookmarks so that you can have a personal one. So that one can include personal emails, online shopping places that you go to regularly, your personal banking websites as well. That can all be saved in that folder. For work, you can have work emails and other websites and spreadsheets and whatnot that you use regularly for work in another bookmark folder. There are also apps like OneTab. OneTab is an extension that you can get on Google Chrome and probably extensions on other places as well, but I'm a Chrome user, so I know that it works with that. But what it does is that whenever you have a ton of tabs open, it will actually prompt you, do you want to use one tab to clear it? And what it'll do is it will save all of your tabs in one browser window. So if you have 10 different tabs open, if you use one tab, those 10 tabs will become 10 links on one page. And you can just have that sitting there, not look at it, while you focus on the tabs that really matter. So decluttering your virtual space is super important in this day and age, especially if you want to be more productive and successful. Number 4, let's talk about decluttering our mental space. So we've talked about our physical space, our virtual space. Now, which I consider is the most important, is the mental space, which I feel like the physical and the virtual side all contributes to helping us declutter our space mentally anyway. As we all know, there's only so much energy and brain power that we have every single day to do the things that we need to get done. A lot of us work better during the mornings when we're fresh and awake and just woke up. Some of us work better at night when it's all quiet and they've had a chance for the day to sort of warm their brains up. Whichever one you are, it's pretty clear that the more things you have to think about, the more things we choose to clutter our minds with, the harder it is for us to remain focused and be productive. Whenever we try to be productive and we have a to-do list and someone throws a few things our way, we get a little bit stressed, and whatever we set out to do during the day, we generally don't get done because someone threw a curveball our way and we just don't know how to handle it. There's a few things that we can do to combat this. Basically, declutter our minds, declutter our space mentally, so that if someone does throw a curveball, it doesn't affect us as much. One of the things that help a lot of people is meditation. practicing meditation every day, learning to control your mind, learning to control your thoughts so that it doesn't go to a bad place, it doesn't make you overstress or take up more space than necessary. Meditation is actually really good to balance out your emotions and calm your mind. Now, a lot of people who first start off with meditation do find it quite hard because they're not used to emptying the mind, because the mind is not used to being emptied, it's used to being filled and being overfilled, as a matter of fact. So they do find it quite hard. And if you're one of those people who have tried meditation before and have decided it doesn't work, then perhaps try different apps that can help you. For example, Headspace, Calm. These are apps that you can have on your phone, and it actually guides you through a meditation process. So you're not just trying to sit there and empty your mind yourself. You're actually listening to a voice that tells you what to do, what to visualize, so that you can try to empty your mind. And emptying the mind is kind of misleading because you're not actually emptying the mind. You're just not focusing your energy on the thoughts that are not relevant right now. So meditation more teaches you how to focus your mind on areas that are of importance or areas that you choose. So it's more about controlling your mind and knowing what to focus on and being able to not focus on the things that are bad. Because when we are in times of stress, what tends to happen is that we focus a lot on the things that we can't change or the things that are the most troublesome. We focus on negative thoughts and worries and concerns and issues and problems rather than the good things, or rather than working on the things that are important, like a solution for our problems. And meditation does help train the mind to focus on the solutions, on the things that we should focus on in times of stress, rather than the stress itself. Now, another thing that you can practice is journaling, whether it's at the start of the day or before bed, and just dumping all of your thoughts into a diary. So it doesn't have to be a diary sort of deal, but just have a notebook where you can basically write down all of your thoughts, all of the things that are keeping you up at night, all of the things that might be stopping you from progressing onto the thoughts that matter. Write them all down, because a lot of the times we get stuck on thoughts because they're unfinished. We don't have an outcome for the thought that we had. It could be that the thought that we had doesn't actually have an outcome because it hasn't happened yet. It's just a worry that we have. So instead of concentrating on the worry and over dramatizing it in our heads, write it down. Write down all of the thoughts that are going on in your head, all the worries, and even best case scenarios, worst case scenarios, and solutions should the worst case scenarios happen. So instead of all of those worries and stresses living in your head, and it constantly keeps creeping back because it's unsolved, you're basically solving it and saying, should it happen, I've already got a solution for it, so I don't need to think about it unless it does happen. Write it all down, finish off your thoughts. You don't have to worry about forgetting that important thing. And Mark Twain actually has a really good quote that I was reminded of recently. And that is, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which had never happened. So think about that. And that, unfortunately, is generally how the mind likes to work. So just dump it all down, declutter that mind so that you can focus it on the things that do matter, the things that you can action and change. Number 5. This is the one that pretty much makes sure you put everything into action and maintain that momentum. And that is, schedule one day a week where you're going to basically do a big cleaning spree, physically, virtually, mentally. It doesn't have to be the entire day. It may have to be the entire day to start with if you have a lot of clutter to begin with. But if you keep up the momentum, make sure you do it once a week, eventually the whole day will turn into half a day. Then maybe it might only take an hour or half an hour to declutter, because the amount of things that you need to declutter will become less and less as you are more and more in control of it. And that's basically just setting maybe a Sunday, end of the week, where you block out some time to go through your workspace, clean up everything, make sure everything is in the right place, file away any bits and pieces that you've just left lying around throughout the week, going through your desktop and putting everything in the right folders, going through the apps on your phone, going through all of your windows and making sure you're closing them and saving the ones that are important, and writing everything down that has been nagging on your mind all week and picking out the ones that are important and putting aside all of the thoughts that are not. By allowing yourself one day a week, or at the very least, just a few hours to begin with, set aside where you can fully focus on decluttering your life, you will find that the following week, the hours, the days, the weeks that follow will be a lot more productive and focused. You'll find that you're able to find things again because you're putting them in the right places. You'll find that your mind is a lot less stressed because you're putting away the worries where they belong, somewhere else. You'll get more things done, you'll be more satisfied and content and happier, and you'll start to feel a sense of achievement as well. You'll start to see more progress, not only in your life in general and your space and the decluttering, but also in what you achieve in your day-to-day workload. Alrighty, so that's pretty much it for today. I hope my advice has helped, and I hope that you will start implementing some of these strategies, or at least after the video, have a look at your space and ask yourself if it's being used optimally, if things are being placed where they belong. And then maybe tonight when you go to sleep, ask yourself, are there things wearing on your mind that really shouldn't be there? And should maybe those thoughts be written down somewhere, kept safe away from your day-to-day life so that you can be more productive and focused? If you have any questions at all, or if you've got any extra tips as to how to declutter your space physically, mentally, virtually, please let us know. Leave a comment down below. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media as well. We are on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, so make sure you follow us. And please follow my social media as well. My Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok is stellabella.au. I would love to hear from you. I hope you all have a wonderful, productive, and stress-free week. And I hope that next week when I come back with another video, you would have decluttered your environment a little bit and you're able to enjoy my videos in a much more comfortable and organized space. I look forward to chatting with you next time. Bye.